Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Amazing listeners. I mean, look, we always have amazing listeners. Don't get me wrong, everyone. Don't get your mash tuns, flattened. But someone, and I forget who, because I don't know, I'm stupid, gave us a bunch of commercial beer. We got some Lawnmower Lager from Caldera up in Ashland. I like Ashland. I've been to Ashland. Shakespeare Festival every year. You know what I mean?
I've been hearing about Caldera a little more.
And then we have something from Crux and something from someone else. And
we got a Prairie Rose Meadery with roasted pineapple and chipotle.
I think that's Tyler, who we're going to have on the show later on. Susan Rudd, who's a BJCP Grandmaster. She has a meadery wherever she is. And this is a roasted pineapple chipotle mead.
Yeah, she's the one when you get like advanced in the program, you get a rank increase. It's like you get a nice little letter from her. Or used to.
Oh, nice.
It's been a while since I ranked up.
Well, I'm sure she's busy now.
It'll be a while before I rank up again.
Roasting pine. Oh, well, with that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Well, anymore, I mean, you can't rank up by points.
No.
You can rank up by points somewhat, but you can't rank up by like being smarter. You just have to do more at this point.
Rank up by working my ass off and grading a shit ton of exams.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the issue I have going from master to grandmaster, is that it doesn't require any more knowledge, or not that I have any more knowledge left anyway, but you have to actually do work to get that next level. And
you guys should talk to the BGCP and see if you can get work credit.
Yeah.
From the show.
We're like representatives unofficially.
I think that'd be great. Wouldn't that be something?
It would be.
You're like, well, we've done Dr. Homebrew for this many years.
Well, I do some work for them too. I'm assistant regional rep for Northern California area, so Bay Area and up. So, yeah, working with Travis down in San Diego, who's our main regional rep, and a couple of people. There's a gal in Hawaii and another guy down in the LA area. Cindy and Jeff that I work with on that, and we're planning all kinds of fun things.
Nice. That's cool. Are you taking suggestions?
We will, yes. We'll listen.
Okay.
Anything.
All right.
Anything.
Where can we send you suggestions?
It's
Brian at the Brewing Network or whatever?
Brian, yeah, sure.
Okay. I think you have an email address.
I do,
yeah.
Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
Yeah. And did you ever think you would make it this far in life to have a Brewing Network email address?
I know. Kyle, Steve, Keith.
Kevin.
Edward.
Kevin. They can't figure out what name to put on his, but they'll get him one soon, I think.
I think it's Kyle Kevin at the Brewing Network.
It should be like 5 first names. It's funny, like I told Bev like our, the running Kyle Keith joke, and for the longest time she's like asked me, what's his name again? Because she goes, you poisoned my mind by calling him Kyle and Kevin. That like I just genuinely don't know his name. I don't see him ever. I'm like, it's Ted.
So we're pretty sure it starts with a K.
Yeah, it's Bill. It's John. Speaking of beers and other names, we have a Jeremy coming on the line here. He has an American Pale Ale, I believe. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, he sent a Pyment, and we've talked to Jeremy before, I think, right?
Okay.
I think.
I remember Pyman.
Yeah, I remember some sort of mead.
Unless I got the wrong Jeremy, but I don't think I did.
And what about, do we have sponsors still?
Or
did they drop us?
As a matter of fact. No, of course not. They would never do that to us. They would never do that to us. This show is brought to you by 5-Star Chemicals. You can go to 5starchemicals.com and learn about everything that you need to do to make great beer, to improve your beer. You got to clean it, you got to sanitize it, and there's no better cleaner and or sanitizer on the market than the ones that are made at 5-Star. PBW, of course, Star San, of course.
Yeah.
All that kind of good stuff.
I would love them even if they dropped us. I would still use that stuff. You can't get away from it.
No, you can't, and you shouldn't really. To be honest with you, there's no.
I'm going to use chlorine again. I never did that.
I was going to mention some other cleaning products, but then I was like, well, they may become a sponsor at some point, so maybe I shouldn't mention other products. Like that product sucks. I mean, I could say OxyClean. Like, who would use OxyClean? Especially the one that has like the aroma to it or whatever. Yeah. The added scent.
Yeah, that's weird to me. It's like it's the same. It's not the same. These are different. These are different things, people. So
it's not meant for this.
Don't shortcut anything. It's you should know that as homebrewers. Stop trying to shortcut everything. Jesus. Okay, on the line we should have Jeremy. Are you there, Jeremy? Jeremy's not there. Beep. Hello, Jeremy. This is Jason from the Brewery Network. I hope I didn't screw up scheduling. Please call us back at your earliest convenience. Have a nice day.
I thought maybe he was just being censored now. Expletive.
He's coming right here. Here we go. Jeremy.
Hey.
What's going on, dude?
Not much. I'm glad Skype worked.
I just left you a very nice message on your cell phone.
So yeah, and I turned on my computer, and that worked better.
You can disregard. How's it going, man? We've talked to you before, yeah?
No, actually, you haven't.
Really? Then how do I have you as, like, some
a payment maker?
Whatever?
I think we've been communicating for a long time, trying to line it up.
Maybe it was another Jeremy.
Through and then finally it's come together.
You filled out my form and then couldn't send it to some garbage like that? Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, hey, man, good to talk to you.
So he feels like he knows you better than he already does.
Right. For the first time, for the last time. How long have you been homebrewing, man? It seems like from the sheet that you filled out, you've done a lot of stuff. You must be at it for a while.
Yeah, 4 years exactly this month.
Oh, hey, happy anniversary.
Cool.
My life's been screwed up ever since.
Yeah, well, good.
Your wife or your life? What did you say?
My life.
Sorry.
It was supposed to be an easy hobby, and I've gotten obsessed.
Yeah, well, that happens, man.
See what it's like 15 years on.
Yeah, that kind of stuff definitely happens. Well, you sent us an American Pale Ale, right?
Yeah.
Did that change at all? That didn't change at all.
No.
Bittery. See, we got your hops here, and
there were all kinds of details on the label here.
I didn't read that until after I judged it.
Yeah, I didn't read them either. I was judging, and I saw, there's details. Look away.
Yeah, it's so rare that we get it. Where I would guess it's just kind of like, oh, all right. That's
because we try to.
You don't want to read the details, right? You guys don't want to know. You just want to know the category and what's different about it.
Yeah, we rarely even get the right category, so we're just happy if you get that right.
Yeah. We just want to judge it as we would judge it in any competition. You don't have recipe details in front of you when you're judging it in a big competition. It would color your impression too much. Like, I think I taste that mistake. I think I taste this, or I smell that, or whatever. Yeah. No, just go in and get it.
Go in and get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Keith, you want to start us off there?
Sure. I would love to.
In your Husker Du T-shirt.
Yes, I'm wearing a T-shirt from an album from 1987, which makes a lot of sense.
But it's a new shirt.
It is a new shirt.
That's even greater. Yeah.
I kept it since 1987. Anyway, so these judging notes are from 2 weeks ago. I thought we were having the show 2 weeks ago, and I got confused. But I have the beer in front of me right now, so I can kind of modify anything that I messed up 2 weeks ago. Aroma-wise, big hop aroma. I get pine, citrus. Today I'm tasting a little bit of tropical fruit as well, maybe a little mango and papaya, light floral, but the esters still come through. I get some apples with a faint note of phenol, plasticky sort of character, and then low malt sweetness, no caramel, no other off flavors, no diacetyl, no acetaldehyde. I gave it a 9 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance, medium gold. Head started pretty big, then it kind of died down. Clarity is brilliant, really a pretty beer overall. I actually said the head lingers for a while, so I gave this a 3 out of 3 in appearance. It was really just a great looking beer. Flavor, the big hops come through. Big hop flavor comes through again. Citrus, pine, low tropical fruit. So I was getting the tropical fruit a couple weeks ago. Sorry. Bitterness is medium to medium high. I would say a little bit high for the style. I would say the malt is subdued, pretty much overshadowed by the hops, which is acceptable for this style. I'm getting some vegetal notes. And I think that I got that more also as it warmed up. A little bit of sweetness, and then also getting that phenol character again in the flavor. Malt hop balance is more to me like IPA like than it is pale ale like. But everything else other than that light phenol is super clean. We gave it a 10 out of 20 for the flavor, and most of the ding there was probably the two things with the light phenol and just sort of the balance being felt like it was more IPA than it was APA. Mouthfeel, medium-low. Body, medium carbonation, just a touch of warming. Light astringency from the bitterness of the hops, 4 out of 5. And then finally, overall impression. I really enjoyed the hop profile on the aroma and even the flavor. I wish the bitterness was just maybe a little dialed back, a little more sweetness. Mm-hmm. But I think the light phenol was probably the biggest thing, and the vegetal notes were the biggest misses for me. But it felt like it was a hop showcase more than any sort of balance at all. And the guidelines do allow for some variation there from that sort of spectrum of, do I want it to be more malt or more hop focused? And probably in competitions you're going to do better with a more hop focused anyway. I just felt like it was pretty high on that end, on that spectrum of things. Kind of felt like more like a session IPA than an APA to me. And then the phenol notes, I wonder about those. I've actually picked them up sometimes in other really hoppy beers, so maybe something I'm sensitive to, and not everybody's getting that. I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about that when you're talking about when you're going through your score sheets. I would lower the bitterness and up the malt just a touch, and maybe add a little bit of specialty malt character. But I think it works well right now as a hop showcase. And I would just consider for competition, this might actually do well depending on the judge set you get. But for me, I would prefer my APA to be a little less IPA-like. Overall, I gave it a 31 out of 50. Still thought it was a pretty good beer. Like I said, again with that light phenol, I'm interested in hearing what you guys say. And for that, I would just watch yeast handling and making sure you're pitching rates, stuff like that. We'll talk a little more about that as we go on, but.
Let me ask you a question. Do you, and it's just I don't know why it just popped in my head now, but judging it now versus judging it 2 weeks ago, do your scores change, both of you guys, when you do these kind of things? I know it's rare that I actually get the beers lined up so you can judge them ahead of time, but or do you find yourselves fairly consistent between the studio and at home? I
would say it's pretty consistent. It kind of depends on what I'm doing when I'm at home and where my mind is when I'm judging them. And even here, like sometimes we're judging 3 beers and we have callers in different orders, and I do an Imperial Stout first and then do, say, a Helles after that. Sometimes it gets a little mixed up. Okay. I think on this, I did these ones, the ones we're doing tonight, I think they did them on separate days. And I think right now I'm pretty much exactly where I would have been, in the same way. Right. I think I got, like I said, on the nose, I got more tropical this time. I didn't get that the first time around. I may have had a slight cold or something then, but I did actually get it in the taste, so I was interested in seeing that. But I felt like I'm pretty consistent, and like I said, I don't know if Brian will get phenol, but I definitely get the phenol character I was talking about then. I can still taste that right now. The thing I'm picking up there.
Yeah. It also depends on the beer too. If it was well cared for and stored well. Versus if it was, it had been oxidized and you were drinking it fresh and then you taste it 2 weeks later, there's going to be a much bigger difference than if it's, there's no oxygen in there and it's fine 2 weeks later and stored cold. So
yeah, I think this beer held up well too. It really reminds me very much of what it tasted like a couple weeks ago.
Okay, cool. Sorry, just asking. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. The bottle had a nice little hiss when we opened it, a little light hiss. The aroma. Pleasant low citrusy hop, but with lightly vegetal undertones. There was just something a little odd in there. I don't think it's oxidation. I'm not really getting that. And I'm kind of sensitive to phenolics, I feel like, but I'm not getting the same phenolic that Keith is.
Kyle.
It's Keith Kyle. Yeah, sorry. It's almost like a little garlic note, kind of hoppy garlic note in there or something, or like a little something funky in the hops maybe. That's kind of, whoa, okay, that's different. The malt is bready and understated. Esters are pretty low, just slightly fruity. Maybe a hint of DMS in there along with the vegetal. I'm not getting any diacetyl or acetaldehyde in there. Appearance-wise, like Keith said, pretty much agree there. It's a brilliantly clear yellow-gold color, finely formed low white colored head, finer and larger bubbles. And I was surprised to see on the label that they used the Vermont yeast. But I must have found it or something after that. That's kind of cool. So 3 out of 3 for appearance. Flavor-wise, it's pleasantly hoppy. It has nice little notes of tropical guava, little pineapple, low citrus. The malt is pretty subdued. Again, I do agree with the kind of pale and a half, like session IPA kind of comment. It's not really an IPA, but it's leaning towards that territory. Bitterness is quite firm and minerally water. I would say probably too much sulfate. Clean fermentation. It's pretty much bone dry though. There's not a lot of sweetness here to play off the hops and the bitterness that's there. So that's all standing out really starkly. They remain well into the aftertaste. Finish is quite dry. No diacetyl or acetaldehyde. And so, I gave it fair scores for flavor. I liked the aroma a little bit better despite the vegetal. And the vegetal wasn't coming through to me as much in the flavor. There's just some other odd things in the super dry, which also leads to kind of an IPA-like impression or a session IPA thing. Mouthfeel-wise, it's light-bodied, a little creaminess, only faint astringency, probably from hops. Medium carbonation, no alcohol warmth was evident. So, okay there. Overall, it's a nice pale ale, very drinkable. Just like a bit odd in the aroma, and the bitterness comes through a little too much in the flavor with that minerally character that's in there. So I would probably work on adjusting your water. It's super beautiful and clear, so it's a nice looking beer. You know how to handle it and treat it, and it was stored well. There's not a big oxidation here, so I keep working on this one. Again, probably just to reduce that vegetal, and if any phenolic, just kind of work on your keep everything happy, keep the yeast happy and going. I would definitely reduce the mineral hop additions to make it more refreshing and more pale ale like, and just bring out a hint more sweetness. Maybe if you can find a yeast that's a little less attenuative in some way, just having that a little less dry finish would provide a better balance to me. So I give it a 33. I thought it's a very good beer.
And I'm happy you called out the water thing, and we'll ask Jeremy here in a minute. We'll probably be totally wrong, but it really does taste the pretty heavy mineral content in the water. Just as it lingers, and I was drinking it now. It just really the bitterness really just sort of carries on and lingers, and a lot of that is it feels like it's from the water more than just necessarily bittering hops. So not sure how I missed that, but I think it's a good call.
No, and then I saw after judging it on the label, there's some gypsum, calcium chloride, and salt in here. So, but if you're starting with, RO water, you need to add something. So we'll talk about water a lot, hopefully.
Yeah, and I'm interested now that you said that. I didn't really look at the label here, and I think maybe I did after I judged it before, and I forgot already again what the ingredients were. But that Vermont yeast strain, I do get this character sometimes, and I don't know, maybe it's more of a spicy and estery thing mixed together, but it always tastes a little bit off to me. And I have made beers sometimes that haven't, but a lot of times I've had beers made with this, and it always just has more of that sort of Belgian IPA character. Not fully going into that area, but just a little bit into there.
Farmhousey, a little saison-y kind of edge to it. Yeah,
I think so. And it may be more of the peppery thing, but I don't know. I mean, everyone always says it gives you a lot more fruit, but to me it comes off as it's a little bit spicy as well. And I'd be interested in hearing, I don't know.
Yeah.
I should talk to other people who use this yeast a lot, and I've had some decent beers made with it. Not that this isn't a decent beer, but I've had ones where I didn't really spot it. But definitely now that you say that, I've had beers I've made and other people have made where I'm like, oh, what yeast are you using? They're like, Vermont. I'm like, wow, that's a little bit odd. Like, you get this character that I don't particularly like very much in my IPAs. It comes off a little Belgian-like to me.
Yeah, it'd be neat to go through the grain bill and the water and everything and hear what inspired that, especially with the yeast too.
Yeah.
So
well, let's do that now. Jeremy, you got? Do you have all that nonsense in front of you?
Yeah. No, it's good. I was going for like a 25 out of 50, so I scored.
There you go. Aim low, man. That's what I always do, and it works.
But yeah, pretty much everything you guys said is really spot on. The hops came from a friend of mine. There was a bunch of free hops, and also the yeast was a yeast slurry. So ironically, it's kind of one of my using Vermont yeast is the first time I had used it, and I'm not a huge IPA pale ale fan. I mostly brew like saisons and dark beers, and but since I got a bunch of free stuff, I was like, I might as well put it out there and try to make it. And then since I lined up to send it down there, I thought it was kind of funny to send it down because I know JP doesn't like so. But yeah, so the grains, it was a 65% two-row, 7.5% carafoam, 5% malted wheat, 10% Munich, 7.5% flake barley, 2.5% C40, 2.5% acid malt, and I put some rice hulls in there because I was having some problems with lautering. And it was a double batch, so I did about a 16-gallon boil, and eventually ended up about 6 gallons each. In this batch, the total bittering for the full batch was Columbus 2 ounce, and then Whirlpool was 2 ounce Cascade, 2 ounce Hallertau Blanc, and 4 ounce Mosaic. And then this batch got 6 ounces of Mosaic and Hallertau Blanc. It was a blend of pellets, so basically 3 ounces of each. And then the homebrew shop owner said I should throw in some cryo hops we'd never used before. So the brand was a Mosaic 1 ounce cryo hop for about 3 days. And and then for the total, it was half cup slurry of Vermont yeast and oxygenated for 60 seconds. And the water, it's funny you picked up on that because that's something I'm trying to learn. So it was my second time messing with our water. So I used Bruin water, and a friend of mine taught me how to use it. And I was just my first kind of foray into doing it myself. Yeah. And so it has 11.4 grams of gypsum, 4.8 grams of calcium chloride, and 1.9 grams of salt. And that was just adjusted for Eugene water.
So you're starting off with just charcoal filtered water or something like that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I run it through a charcoal filter, then let it sit overnight. And then when I'm really paranoid, I'll throw Camden tablets in the morning, but I'm trying to cut myself back from doing that. Yeah. So this one was a water filter super slow, so it takes like 2 or 3 hours for me to filter the water and then let it sit overnight.
If you do it right, it should take that long.
Why are you afraid of using Camden tabs? I'm just wondering.
Well, I just thought it was maybe overkill. I used to do it more for like meads and ciders and things, and I thought maybe if I'm filtering it that slow, I don't need to. It only came up because a girl in my homebrew club is allergic to sulfites, and I thought, is there sulfites lingering in that? It's never been a problem, but I wondered later. I was like, I don't know if I should be concerned about sulfites. So I was experimenting, going back and forth. I brewed a Hefeweizen last weekend, and I put sulfites in, so I don't know if it'll make a difference or not. What do you guys think about that when you add Camden tablets? I mean, is there residual sulfites that somebody could pick up on, or is it just blow off? Or I don't even know.
It's so small a trace. I don't know if you can get all the way through there. I would have I don't think that's possible. I think it does add a little more mineral content to the water, but not enough actually probably to make a difference. I guess it really kind of depends on where you're starting with in terms of what Eugene water looks like. If you sent have you gotten water analysis, or do you have other people in the club that
it's clear?
Well, that's good. That's good.
It's liquid.
Yeah,
someone's really sensitive.
It comes off a really fresh Mackenzie River, but there is, I was looking at our water report, and I think the average for chloride was 2.5 and sulfate's 3.4, but I still can barely understand Bruin waters, though.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, no, I don't know. What do you think? I just really think that something that you add like that, like one Camden tablet to a whatever, how many other
30
gallons of water, for a 16-gallon batch or whatever. There's no way, and that's going to affect anybody who has sulfite allergies.
Okay,
I just don't.
Cool.
Yeah, there's this. You probably want to ask a doctor or somebody else knows a little more, but I would just say that's really, 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 really unlikely.
Yeah.
Do you think it's overkill with a carbon filter and sitting overnight to add Camden, or is it a good insurance policy?
It seems overkill.
I do it. I think you're going so slow that it depends on the filter you have and all that sort of stuff. And, the slower you go, and you can make it come out like, the water come out super slow and through a charcoal and take care of it. But, it depends on how much chloramine is in your water, and especially chloramine. Is it chloramine or chloramine? I guess I don't know which.
Right.
Chloramines,
yeah.
Yeah, but it really depends. But I don't know. I think that what you're getting from the Camden tablet is not. There's nothing there that's bad enough that you want to avoid using it just as an extra safety blanket. I use it, so that's why I'm saying that. But it's an extra safety blanket, and I mean you can always try it, don't try it, and see if there's any difference at all, and kind of eliminate it that way. But I know, like where I used to live in Pittsburgh, like they would change up the depending on the time of year and the growth in the water. They would change from chlorine to chloramine sometimes, which was crazy. I didn't know about it. And like a couple months, like 2 months a year, they would end of summer they would throw it in, and then I wouldn't really be prepared for that. And I'd be like, holy crap! So that's when I was like, I don't know when they're going to do it. I got to start adding Camden tablets all the time to be safe. But I don't know. I think it's a nice safety blanket, and I wouldn't get away because you never know when your water source is going to change. And it's not something that's going to affect the water too much. Right. That's my take. Yeah. This is my take on it, but yeah.
In the end, you're boiling it too, and it's pretty volatile. It's not like adding it to wine where you're not going to boil the stuff.
Right.
It's going to mostly just go away.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can't imagine.
Do you have any other questions for the guys there, Jeremy?
I was just curious. Another brewer was talking about using Brutan B. Do you guys ever use that for, like, I guess, dissolved oxygen reduction or something?
What's a Brutan B?
Never heard of it.
It's some kind of powder, I guess, that you use in.
Oh,
is it
like one of those like 5.2 adjusted? Put this in your water and it'll have a pH of this, or
I heard something about dissolved oxygen or something about oxygen reduction, but I wasn't really sure if that was anything that
I haven't really, I haven't heard about that. I don't know. I mean, most times I hear people talking about dissolved oxygen, like reducing oxygen in brewing is around like German styles and not using copper and all blah blah. A lot of stuff. And I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of breweries making great beers that aren't so worried about that, and maybe some German breweries are doing that, and they're able to keep their beers fresh a little bit longer. But I think for a beer style like this, the hops are going to fade anyway by that time, so I wouldn't worry too much about it for like a pale ale or an IPA or something like that. I don't know. Like, I haven't heard of that. I'll look it up. So you said, what is it called again?
Brutan B.
Okay.
Brutan B.
Yeah.
I'll look that up. I have
Brutan B.
I have no experience with that
either.
My only other question was about pH. Was just
go for it.
I've been checking pH, but by the time I got the pH meter working and everything, I'm already like 35 minutes in the mash. I mean, should I be trying to figure that out in brewing water and not really worry about it, or do you think it's worth checking it and trying to make adjustments even if you're at 30 minutes in the mash, or getting it figured out at like 10 minutes in?
I think there's maybe one or two schools of thought there. What I tend to do is if it's way off, then I'll modify it. But, every time you use brewing water and you brew a beer, like you may make something similar to that again, and you can modify the next beer to get a little bit closer. But if you're in 5.3 to 5.6, somewhere in that range, and you're at 5.4 and you want it to be 5.3, I wouldn't mess with it. But I would know next time if I want it to be 5.3, I would modify it a little bit. And the other tricky part about it is your water is always changing. It's you get a water report and it's not always going to be the same. So especially here in San Francisco, I don't know what water you're using, Brian, but it's always changing. So it's always kind of a moving target. So I do record the pH. I don't refrain. I don't stop doing that because I think I'm close enough. But unless it's way off or outside of that range, I won't mess with it so much. But I don't know. I guess a good way to do it is take it 10 minutes in and then do it. But I think anytime throughout the mash you can modify the pH without having a big impact. But I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
I noticed too that you put 2.5% of acid malt in there as well. Was that kind of to counteract what you have and try to get to a certain pH, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that was in brewing water. I was trying to get to 5.3 or so. Yeah. I think I measured at 5.2 roughly.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
I find that's usually cool with pale beers. You don't run into any problems with 5.2 for a mash pH, but I do find that if you're making a darker beer, sometimes I do run into a little bit of problems later on. The beer tends to get a little bit tart, and I may be sensitive to that personally, but with dark beers, but I would, 5.2 on a pale beer, I don't think it's usually much of a problem.
Cool.
You're going to extract a little more husky or roasty character out of it, too, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for beer, yeah.
All right,
Good
later.
beers. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting recipe. It's not your typical pale ale, but it made a nice modern kind of pale ale and a half.
It works. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to be drinking an American Stout. It's Dr. Homebrew. Hang on, and we'll be right back.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Kings.
Now, back to the examination.
Hey, everyone, we're back. It's Dr. Homebrew. We're drinking some mead. And it's a weird one, dude. It's a weird one. Like I said, I think Tyler, who will talk on the next show, I think that's who sent it. But it's roasted pineapple and chipotle, and I don't know. I don't know about it. It's quality. It's a quality product.
I'm tasting those ingredients for sure.
I'm tasting those ingredients. There are tons of roasted pineapple. I think it might be too, like the chipotle maybe has died out a little bit, and I think the chipotle was added to kind of cut the sweetness.
Play off of that, yeah.
Yeah, so you get some prickly of the heat on the chipotle. But
it goes all the way down, yeah. It warms
less
the back
of the
of your
heat,
throat.
more of the, I get a little bit of that smokiness more than the heat. I don't know. I mean, like the chipotle comes across just to me as some smokiness, but I do get the heat as it finishes, but I'm not getting any like sort of pepper flavor.
No.
Mm-hmm. This is a mead maker's mead. This is not something that I think anybody would go, you know what, try mead.
It's
nice really good.
intro mead.
Yeah.
No, this
is not an intro mead. This is advanced shit here, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of advanced stuff, the Brew Guru app from the man, that mead is like, it's working my salivary glands overtime, man. The Brew Guru app from the AHA, and of course the American Homebrewers Association. You download that thing on your phone. You link it up with your AHA membership, which of course you never let lapse. And if you do, go to our website and renew your subscription there, and it will let you know. It'll key you in on every place that's around you, wherever you are in America, where you can get your AHA discount. So it's a pretty badass little app. The Brew Guru, it's free also. And, don't forget that. It's free. We like free stuff over here on Dr. Homebrew.
Yes, we do.
We're going to talk to Norman right now, if you all want to pop his beer. And I'm excited. We don't get many stouts, really. We get
a lot of imperial stouts.
Yeah, not of the imperial variety. So I'm kind of excited here. Norman, are you there?
Yes.
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Perfect. We're just opening your beer right now, man, and I appreciate you sending it in, and thanks for taking the time. How long have you been homebrewing?
On and off, about 15 years.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. And have you've done stouts before, I imagine, or is this your first crack at it?
Actually, I don't normally do stouts or any dark beer. That's kind of my situation that I sent this in. I'd like to get some feedback that's possibly valuable.
Cool. Well, hopefully we can get there for sure. We'll definitely give you feedback. Hopefully it's valuable.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Well, Brian, why don't you go ahead and figuratively dive into Norman's beer here, man?
Okay. I'm getting in the aroma, nice definite chocolatiness, kind of a rich chocolate cocoa nib-like character right up front, and like a medium roast coffee note. A hint of some rich roast in there. I'm getting a light peppery quality, like a green pepper, and some soy sauce, kind of medium. Medium low, I'd say, in the background, but it's not overpowering. But yeah, it's definitely noticeable with a little bit of that soy sauce and green pepper, which is a little distracting to me. Medium esters, low earthy floral hop, pretty backgroundy. No DMS or diacetyl. Not getting any obvious alcohol. Just mostly that kind of bittersweet chocolate kind of cocoa nib smell. Appearance-wise, it's a dark brown-colored body to the beer. It seems clear, a low, barely formed light tan head that settles to a ring of very fine bubbles coloring the glass. Be nice if that head lasted a little longer. The flavor, massive flavors of rich coffee, kind of a diner coffee-like impression to me. Some cocoa. Getting a medium-low hop bitterness. Some of the bitterness is also coming from those dark grains. Some vanilla dominating in here with the cocoa and the coffee. It's just really bludgeoning the palate with all those flavors. There's a light roast and a light green peppery quality. It finishes very dry and ashy, almost tar-like to me. It's just there's no sweetness there to kind of balance it. It's not unpleasant, and it's fairly clean. It's just it seems like a recipe issue. Just too much of that the cocoa and
too much of the good stuff,
cocoa nib stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good stuff. Yeah, but it's just not balanced with the sweetness I would want in there, and then the green pepper is a little distracting. So yeah, cocoa kind of lingers into the aftertaste. Medium full bodied in the mouthfeel. It seems to be held back a little bit by the light dry finish. It's somewhat astringent, but not bitingly so, and it's not a creamy, smooth beer at all. Just medium carbonation, no obvious alcohol warmth. It seems kind of big for the style to me, but maybe it's also just a combination of the flavors playing off of everything else, and I'm tasting it while I'm sensing the mouthfeel, but it feels a little big, but not alcohol big, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah, overall impression, it's a slightly odd, but with a big chocolate cocoa diner coffee thing, and it's it's definitely a stout. There's just not too much else there to kind of provide the balance that you would need for a really nice American stout. There's not a lot of American hops. The pepper's kind of distracting. It seems massive in flavors for this style. It should be a little mellower and kind of balanced with some of that hop and a little more sweetness. Just lacks some of those things you would want to get to the right place. So just maybe back off the dark malts in there, especially the chocolate malts, and try to bring up the sweetness a little bit. If you have slightly less attenuated yeast or something, or just other malts in there to bring up the impression of sweetness. Some middle malts, like some dark caramel or some light chocolate maybe, instead of the darker, more obvious chocolate. We'd keep trying with this. So work on that recipe and kind of play around with stouts for a while. Look at different recipes for stouts. Talk to some people that like brewing them. Definitely look at your water too. I'm not sure where your water started, but if your water's not alkaline enough, sometimes your stout will go to kind of weird places too. Still, it's really drinkable. Just think, a little more sweetness will help balance against all those intense flavors there. Again, it's not a super defective beer. It's just pretty far off balance for me. I gave it a 25 out of 50 for the score, so it's a good beer. Just needs some work to get to the right place there. But, thank you for sharing it.
Perfect. All right, Keith, go for it, dude.
We have not talked about this beer at all, so it's interesting to hear some of the same comments that that I will say as well. So aroma, chocolate, cocoa, green pepper, and jalapeno. A little spiciness, little alcohol warming, and also getting some green apple, acetaldehyde character, light vanilla. Hops are really subdued for this style. They can be low to medium high, not getting really much there. Light fruitiness, and light fruitiness from the esters, and gave it 6 out of 12 in aroma. Appearance, very dark brown with a slightly tan, dark off-white head. Beer was not opaque. Thought it was actually pretty light for the style, on the low end of the style in terms of color. Head dies pretty quickly, although it could possibly...
I still got a ring around.
No, there's nothing wrong with my glass then. Somebody was putting grease in my glass.
It's probably poison.
Yeah, probably poison. Nice. 2 out of 3 for appearance. Medium flavor-wise, medium chocolate, medium low coffee, lots of green pepper, light acidity. Malt is medium high, low sweetness. Bitterness is low, medium low. Also has a strong green apple flavor. Hop flavor is non-existent. Other than that acetaldehyde note from the green apple, I thought it was really clean. Medium low body. I thought the body was low. I know Brian didn't say that, but no astringency. Maybe there's some darker malt astringency now after tasting that again. Very light warming. Carbonation is medium low. 3 out of 5 for mouthfeel. Overall impression. Tasty beer. I didn't mind drinking it. It's just a little strange with the green pepper. Obviously, the acetaldehyde's a little distracting. Really want to see more sweetness here for an American Stout. I'd also like to see a little more hop expression, both in terms of aroma and flavor. Peppery flavors are kind of odd. I wonder what causes those. A lot of times, you get flavors like this when you add coffee to a beer. But
is that right? Yeah, I didn't know either where that came from.
Yeah, it's a strange sort of flavor. I'm looking where that happened. I actually had the comment says, "Did you add coffee?" Or these comments 2 weeks ago. For the acetaldehyde, just make sure you pitch fresh yeast. It's not super high. I'm just getting a little bit of that. Make sure you pitch fresh yeast, fully ferment. Don't rack anything off too soon. For me, I would do very much what Brian was saying. I'd up some dark malt complexity. Some dark crystal would be great. Pale chocolate would probably be good as well. There is a lot of chocolate sort of flavor that I'd probably the dark chocolate would add some toasty malt character. And the hops, like I said, the hops are just missing. But I really think with that sweetness, I want a sweetness, and with that probably a little more body as well. Just sort of fill out the beer. And right now it feels, I don't know, just kind of, that peppery thing going on, and then lack of hops, and just sort of that round sweet flavor.
It needs some malt for sure.
Yeah, a little lacking.
Well, let's get into the recipe, Norman. If you want to tell us what you did, and I think we can help you from moving forward.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. We had 16 pounds of pale malt, 1 pound of 120 caramel crystal. We had 8 ounces of chocolate malt, 8 ounces of roasted barley. And for hops, it was like 3/4 an ounce of Chinook, 3/4 an ounce of Galena, and that was it. And dry hopped with coffee.
Okay.
And the 5-gallon batch. Pretty straightforward. The recipe came from, an internet source. So
yeah. With the coffee, did you put grounds in the fermenter or whatever, or did you make the coffee and pour it in, or how did you add the coffee?
And the coffee was grounds in the secondary.
That's where that green pepper comes from. Coffee's notorious, especially if it was a lighter roast. Maybe.
Actually, I find darker roasts give more of the green pepper character, but that's I've talked to people about that, and that may it may vary, you may even whatever the roaster to roaster sort of thing. But that would definitely explain the green pepper thing.
Hazard to guess that it's also what's killing your head here is the oils from the coffee beans. Just dies.
The oils from my nose. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to people who've done a lot of different stuff with coffee, and they make double strength coffee, double strength batch, and add it into the secondary. Put whole beans into the secondary.
That's what I do. Day or two whole beans into the keg after I rack it in there, and then get it off. That's Modern Times does that, and they own a roastery, and they also make coffee beers, and so I was like, I'll use what they do, and I like their coffee beers, and they have one of their beers is their staple, but it does always vary on what coffee you're using, and it's one of those things. You use a coffee. Sorry to interrupt, JP. By the way,
hey man, it's all right. You're the expert.
He knows coffee. JP knows coffee.
No. Yeah, he probably knows coffee better than I do. He probably has a roasting coffee at home, and he's going to burn his house down this week. I think we've talked about this multiple times over and over again. But no, I mean, sometimes it's finding the right coffee. Like it is tricky. Like it doesn't. It could be light, it could be dark roast, and sometimes you get the green pepper thing, and you just kind of have to play with it until you find the right thing that works for the beer.
You can do a strong cold brew also, and you can kind of work with it and just blend it, teaspoon method or whatever, or grams, and kind of figure out where you want to be with your coffee. What
do you think about the malt bill? Let's talk about the malt bill real fast. Since everyone kind of
it seemed like a pretty simple recipe. It had
Keith
most of the malts
how to drink
that you want. I was surprised how much Crystal 120 was in there. So,
and you said Crystal 120, and then there was another Crystal after that as well, or not? I was
chocolate.
writing.
No, there was chocolate malt.
Crystal chocolate roasted barley.
Yeah, there was only 1 pound of 120 though, and this is a 16 pounds of pale. And what size was the batch? Now that's kind of a. Was it a 6.5 or something?
It was supposed to end up. 6 gallon batch.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would probably, even with the sweetness now, I don't know, the mash temp and all that sort of stuff too. But it's only a pound for. It's not a ton. I would probably find some mid crystal in there as well to kind of.
Like a 40 or 60?
Yeah, 40, 60, something like that. And if you don't want to overdo it, do like a 3/4 of that and 3/4 of 120. I think 120 is great in a beer like this because it gives you some of that raisiny character and the complexity that you wouldn't just get from regular crystal. And
I think it matches with chocolate malt too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you don't shift to the pale chocolate, you keep it as a chocolate. Keep the 120 in there because I do like those flavors. It just does need some kind of sweetness in the back end to kind of not make it so dry.
And then also entering it as a 20B when you're entering, when you have that much of a noticeable coffee in a beer like this, you want to enter it as a spice or vegetable.
Yeah, and the coffee could be changing the perception of sweetness too, with a little bit, a little astringency there.
Yeah,
but no, it does feel like it needs more sweetness though, and don't go crazy on all kind of ingredients and make it, add like, hey, let me add 3 ounces of pale chocolate and let me use some black patent and let me use 3 different types of crystal. I don't know. Keep it simple. I like that approach, and then add things and then see what happens. I don't think you're far off here from making something really good. If you want to keep using coffee, I would just keep trying different varieties and different methods. But I think the one reason the whole bean thing works is that it's pretty easy to get around the beans. Ground coffee sometimes can be, like, hey, I'm going to have to strain it or rack off of it or something, and whole beans are a little easier to deal with, and beans are very porous, so there's no real need to necessarily, if a couple days soak, it's not, you're going to get as much flavor, not as much, but pretty close to as much flavor as you would from a grind.
What was your what was your water, and then did you mention the yeast?
The yeast was Mangrove Jack strong ale yeast.
And then what did it start and finish at? With that yeast.
Finished it about 10, 12.
Okay.
Wow,
that's pretty low. I mean, I don't, for some reason, I can never get my unless I do like an Irish stout, never get my stouts to drop that low. I don't know. Another option would be to throw some flake barley into it. That'll give you a little more body, a little more perception of just a fuller beer, I think, overall.
Or some oats or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like I love flake barley in a stout, no matter what kind of stout it is. I think it goes really well. So I think that's another option to kind of just create a little more fullness.
Right. And the water was RO water with 2 teaspoons of gypsum.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you could try building it up to, like a Dublin profile or something if you want a kind of a nice stout water, or just just get your calcium up there. I mean, you just got calcium and sulfates there and nothing else. Maybe a little calcium chloride or something.
Chloride give you more
instead.
perception of sweetness again too.
Yeah,
so that's another thing. And even salt as well would give you a little more perception of sweetness. So maybe that's what's also missing if you're using RO water and just gypsum. That's why it's coming across as being not very sweet.
It's a very low chloride water. It's just a little harsh that way. Changing the water is going to definitely help this beer too.
Okay.
Yep. But interesting beer.
I think you're on the right track.
I like the simplicity. I like, got to work on the coffee addition and work on the recipe a little bit. But, I didn't.
I think it tastes good, man.
I think I get a little bit of aldehyde that Keith got too on the edge of it, but it's not insanely so. It was, it was just a little hint of that.
It came off like maybe acidic, I didn't get the aldehyde, but I got like a little acidity, which I could translate to green apple, so maybe that was it.
The green pepper had been out of the way, and it was declared as a coffee stout with a nice coffee character. It would have scored a lot better. So, with a little sweetness.
Oh.
There you go.
Cool. Okay. Norman, do you have any questions for the guys, or did we hit them all for you?
I think they pretty much hit on everything that was that I was questioning. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, man. Try it again and let us know how it comes out.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, Norman. Yeah, cheers. Good job.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh. Cool. Yeah, I like those flavors, man. They match pretty well. Okay, before we take a break, I do want to let you guys know, of course, because we do have things to let you know about. For years, the folks at More Beer have been leading the charge when it comes to cool and unique home brewing equipment, like the RoboBrew, the easiest way to brew all grain. Made from stainless steel, the RoboBrew allows you to make 9 gallons of beer all in one vessel, from boil to mash to cooling. The RoboBrew is truly self-contained. Also, they have a cool thing to up your fermentation games called the Fermentosaurus Plastic Conical. 9-gallon plastic conical with a stainless stand, a sturdy butterfly dump valve at the bottom, and it will hold up to 35 psi. So you can do some cool transferring, and you can even carbonate in there and do all that kind of stuff. All right, here we go. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to give stuff away, and then we're going to leave. Hang on. We'll be right back. Push the play. There we go.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
Hey, thanks for hanging around, everybody. Before we get to all the good stuff, I do want to let you guys know, of course, about the iDip. It's the iDip, everybody.
Yeah. My club was just talking about buying one of those.
Do it. Well, I'll tell you what.
We got a bunch of money. We should buy something cool.
You should do it, and then you go to smartbrewkit.com and use code TBN10 at checkout, and you'll save $10. So that's pretty cool. But in case you haven't heard about the iDip, what it is the Smart Brew water testing kit, and it incorporates a revolutionary photometer, which is the first and only one on the market with its own app. You can use it in your home brewery, or if you are a brew master, a brewer in a commercial brewery, of course, it'll work there just fine too. It's the only meter on the market that runs water tests with no math needed on your part. You do not have to do math, which is pretty awesome. It's refreshing for me, I'll tell you that much. The iDip pairs via Bluetooth and updates your water results instantly to your own personal water profile. You can email those results or post on your Facebook page and let your homebrew club get the lowdown on your base water profile. They can test for over 40 different water quality tests. 4 come preloaded, and you can check out the rest of them. You can test for things like total alkalinity, chloride, calcium hardness, pH, sulfate, and more, with only 4 mils of water needed for each test. It's pretty dope. So check it out. SmartBrewKit.com. Enter code TBN10 and save yourself $10, bro, on either the standard or advanced Smart Brew testing kit. Okay. Where we're going to give away $40 gift certificate to GrogTag. GrogTag.com, where at least your beer will look good. You should probably not do that.
Okay.
Who won? Who won the gift certificate?
It would be Norman.
Norman! All right. Good job, Norman. I mean, Norman. Or else I will forget if I don't write it down.
He's going to make his beer taste even better the next time, and he's going to have it look good. So
yeah, dude. Yeah,
win-win.
Go to grogtag.com and see what you want to buy for $40, man. Metal signs, bottle caps, coasters, reusable labels, keg labels, carboy labels, tap handles, whatever you want, dude. They got it.
Yeah, thanks also to Jeremy for sending in his beer. We'll just give him a little applause for his beer, too.
Good job, Jeremy.
You don't get anything.
You get nothing?
That's it.
Okay, thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in to the show, and thanks, of course, to our guests for sending us beer. Thank you, of course, to my co-hosts for sitting here drinking the beer. And
thank you, JP.
Thanks to whoever sent us in the commercial beer and the mead. That was cool.
Thanks to the Hop Grenade for putting up with our shenanigans back here in the corner.
Sure. Those people, too. All right, everyone. If you're listening live, give us about 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back on with another show. And then if you're not listening live, you're on the podcast, you can just advance it right about now. Click. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.